thank you very much to the ANH Academy for being asked to share some words with you today. I also want to say thank you to all of you conference participants who are still sitting here at this late hour. My brief was to give you an indication, an idea of where the African continent is with respect to agriculture, nutrition, and health. And so what I hope I will do is also complement some of the research that has been presented that has relevance to the African continent. So to start, I just want to say, based on the statistics that the GNR, the Global Nutrition Report of 2015, African statistics are not pretty. 58 million children under 5 years old stunted. 14 million children who are wasted or suffering from acute malnutrition. 10 million already overweight. 164 million children and women are anemic. 220 million people are calorie deficient or hungry. And we are seeing increasing overweight and obesity across all countries of the African continent. Now, if you consider the fact that Africa has 54 African countries, this is actually quite a big number. So without exception, all are on a trajectory to overweight and obesity, and of course the related non-communicable health problems such as diabetes and high blood pressure. So these statistics are really hard to swallow, especially for somebody that has spent almost 33 decades, almost 30 years, in some way or another, working within the agriculture and nutrition field. And therefore, when I was asked to speak today, I wondered what I was going to say about the African continent. And the title of my talk to you today will be on investment in Africa's gray matter infrastructure will require research to accelerate momentum. For me, this is not just a title statement. This is also a plea to all that are sitting in this room. The current president of the African Development Bank, Dr. Adesina, talks of the need to invest in Africa's gray matter infrastructure. This is how he refers to investing in nutrition, given the effect of malnutrition on brain development. Dr. Adesina has been instrumental in the development of the African Leaders for Nutrition initiative that specifically targets African heads of states and finance ministers to accelerate investment in nutrition as an input to promote economic growth across the African continent. The fact that malnutrition limits brain development, we know that this has implications for limiting education outcomes and earning potential in adulthood, in addition to both short and long-term negative health consequences. In collaboration with the African Union and the World Food Programme, 7 African countries have conducted cost of hunger studies, and more countries are now planning to do the same. These cost of hunger studies estimated that malnutrition costs countries anywhere from 3.1% of GDP to as high as 16% of GDP for Swaziland and Ethiopia, respectively. If you factor in costs of overweight and obesity and the related health problems, You will agree with me that these estimates would no doubt increase. These are significant costs for poor countries to absorb. It is therefore no surprise at all that malnutrition is being associated with limiting a country's potential for economic development, a language I am sure many economists in this room will understand. This challenge is also relevant to other developing countries at this symposium, from what I have gathered from the many presentations so far. While the African continent has many problems, we are certainly not lacking in initiatives. A beacon of hope for leverage is that the technical team supporting the African Leaders for Nutrition initiative seem hungry for evidence to inform the initiative's advocacy work. This initiative targets heads of states and finance ministers, as I have indicated earlier, the people who hold government wallets, for the kinds of financial commitments that have so far been lacking, which are holding us back. Lacking to support action on the different policy instruments seeking to address both agricultural development and malnutrition. There is therefore much an opportunity for research to contribute momentum to this desire to invest in agriculture and nutrition. For potential investment areas, I reflect on the following contexts in relation to some of the thematic areas reflected in the symposium program. The African policy environment for agriculture and nutrition is generally very rich. Not perfect, but rich. There is increasing multi-sectoral policy coherence at national level, but not so much at the African continental level. The African Union's Africa Agriculture Development Program, in short we call it CADEP, is being implemented in at least 44 of the 54 countries. Some have developed national agricultural investment plans and are making efforts to mainstream nutrition in these plans. In addition, at least 38 of the countries are also part of the SUN movement. Both CADEP and SUN seek to address nutrition multi-sectorally, presenting opportunities for a food systems approach that addresses agriculture, nutrition, and health comprehensively, and with possible long-term sustainability goals. There is a regional strategic analysis and knowledge support system platform, which is led by IFPRI, which serves as a monitoring and evaluation platform for CADEP. This platform, in my view, can be better leveraged by embedding research to address nutrition and health outcomes within such a large program. Increases in agricultural production and productivity for many African countries has been experienced. And there is an indication that those countries that are furthest in the CADEP implementation process have made the most progress. Unfortunately, as you have seen from some of my colleagues from the continent, there is a mismatch between production growth and reduction in chronic malnutrition or stunting, whose progress has been much slower. Research can play an important role to enhance the needed agriculture to nutrition and health linkages in such a huge program. Dietary indicators have now been included in the CADEP results framework, and some countries are beginning to reflect these in their national agricultural investment plans. However, diversification is limited, and this is needed. CAADP is a large program contextualized to different countries and to the continent's sub-regions. So while you have CAADP programs at country level, we also now have CAADP programs at regional level. So Southern Africa has got a program, East Africa is developing one, West Africa is developing one. The various sub-regions are doing the same. I believe that opportunities are being missed and being lost to embed agriculture, nutrition, and health or food systems research within this program. Research that would help to generate solutions to help us move faster to the goals that the continent has set for itself. Micronutrient deficiencies are a significant challenge. Many countries are putting in place staple food fortification programs, while at the same time seeking to scale up supplementation programs through home fortification or facility-based programs. Progress, however, has been challenged by contextual bottlenecks, and research efforts are needed to find contextual solutions, as well as to address the limited monitoring and evaluation of such programs. Burundi, a very small African country, is the only African country making progress on anemia, according to the Global Nutrition Report 2015. We know that malaria and worm infestation can increase with some forms of agricultural investments, you have just heard from our Nigerian colleague. These and other types of low-grade inflammation can influence anemia prevalence. Research must provide a better understanding of the causes of anemia in the different contexts on the continent if we are to address anemia effectively. There has been significant progress on development of biofortified crops led by Harvest Plus. And some biofortified crops have indeed been released in different countries for selected micronutrients. These include vitamin A maize, iron beans, zinc millet, vitamin A cassava, and orange sweet potato. Continued research is required to ensure appropriate scale-up and inclusion into context-specific market dynamics. We have a high dependence on rain-fed agriculture, which limits availability of diverse foods to seasons and keeps prices of nutrient-dense foods high, while at the same time, climate variability and environmental degradation are both also significant challenges. Research must help to mitigate these risks, to reduce the severity of related shocks. The entire African continent, as I have indicated, is in dietary transition, facing increasing overweight and obesity, and the related health problems of high blood pressure and diabetes. Agriculture, nutrition, health, and food systems must explore ways to address this challenge while at the same time addressing undernutrition. There is also need to find ways to mitigate the negative consequences of the global food environment and global food system that we are increasingly becoming a part of on nutrition and health and long-term environmental sustainability. Africa faces significant technical capacity gaps. So the learning labs, to me, demonstrate the need for African academic institutions to draw on research to ensure continued curriculum development, for continued relevance as our contexts evolve. North-South research collaborations must consider this need. The last item I wish to draw attention to, but certainly not the least, is that gender is important. And on this, please let me take the liberty to anecdotally reflect on my own experiences living in a poor Zambian village to provoke your thoughts. The dream of an African mother is to have a healthy child that grows well and remains in good health. How we as mothers feed our children, including the taboos and practices you may deem strange or indeed unreasonable, is informed by what we genuinely perceive to be best for our children within the confines of our cultural norms and socio-economic settings. We want our children to be smart and to grow to achieve great things. A mother's instinct, therefore, is to invest in her child's gray matter infrastructure, whether she knows about gray matter or not. I therefore leave you with this message. Across many different areas, progress is being challenged by contextual bottlenecks and poor understanding of what is driving decisions and choices, whether at household level or indeed at national political levels, including cultural practices and norms that would require significant efforts in behavior change. These must be explored to find appropriate ways to direct progress. Within the many programs already in place on the continent, please, and I say please again, find ways to enhance the agriculture to nutrition and health benefits for recipient populations. In doing so, you will contribute momentum to valuable investments on the much needed gray matter infrastructure, which I believe is also relevant to Asia. Thank you.